Live from MegaCon in Orlando, Florida, it's the Nighttime Show. With us always, this red-headed son of a bitch, Matt Walker. I'm your host of the Nighttime Show, Stephen Kramer Glickman, and with us today, one of the most wonderful, talented actresses and phenomenal people. We love her. We need her. She's incredible. Leeanna Vamp is here.
Hello. Wow, that is an introduction.
That is the intro.
That's really good.
I'm filling in for Mike Black. He can't fly out. He couldn't be here.
Oh, so you had to up it.
I'm trying to up the ante to do it.
I was like, I feel real special right now. So thanks, guys. We're off to a great start.
For our listeners, we are currently right now in Orlando, Florida, at MegaCon. Leeanna has granted us an interview, and is currently dressed as Chucky. I would say Chucky.
Yes.
Which is so fucking cool.
Thanks.
Your booth is amazing.
Thank you.
And it's so fun. We got to work together.
We go way back to
we go way back
a year and a half ago.
Oh yeah, a full
way back. Maybe a little longer. I don't know.
It might be. We got to work together on a Loot Crate video.
Yeah, it was fun. You were purple and you were an alien.
I was an alien. You shot me in the head.
I did. I also threw a grenade at the camera. Do you remember?
Yeah.
When they're like, just throw it to the side of the camera, and I threw it and it went dead center into the lens, and I was like, oh shit, I'm fired.
Oh my God.
I'm fired.
Because that's all the money on those things is the lens.
It was plastic, so I think it was safe, but I was like, oh God, they're gonna be like, you lady, out of here. We'll replace you right now. But it was fine. It ended up being fine.
Yeah, actors and actresses are cheaper than lenses in this
That's
town.
true.
That
That's
is true.
Very true.
You've been acting for quite a long time.
Yeah, I've been doing lots of things.
Yeah. When did you start? Where are you from? How did this all?
Who are you and why are you here?
This begin and how did this and what did this?
So for me, I've been part of the con world for a very long time. I started going to San Diego Comic-Con when I was in high school because it was cool and I was a nerd and that's just what you did.
Where did you grow up?
Pasadena when I was younger. Okay. And then as I got older, I moved to farther south. I don't want to give away I'm not going to tell everyone. Be like, and then this is where I lived and this is where I live. And then
what is your exact
what is your social security number?
Yes.
So San Gabriel.
Yes. You zoned it in.
There we go.
So this kind of whole world started for me a little bit of an accident. Okay. My husband and I were going to San Diego Comic-Con. We started making videos because people wanted to go. They couldn't go. So we started, it was called I Love Nerd Girls. And essentially we would film little highlight reels of the convention. So if you couldn't go, we would do interviews with the celebrities. We'd take photos of the people dressed up. Like it was just a cool, fun video. So you didn't feel like you missed out.
Sure.
That whole thing kind of snowballed into me dressing up and doing the cosplay thing, which led me into doing more acting. Currently, I do a kids puppet show, which is like a little offshoot.
Amazing.
And it's one of my passion projects. It's something that I've loved. I love puppets. And it's like Halloween, like Muppets meets the Munsters. So we have a bat, a zombie, a ghost, a werewolf.
And that's the Fiends?
That's the
show?
Fiends.
So cool.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm the human, so I'm the real person. Everyone else is puppets. We also just published our very first children's book based on one of our episodes, and we do a merch line as well.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
Thanks.
That is incredible. So in this con world, what was the transition from just going? How did the transition work out from just going to cons to then actually cosplaying? Like, how did that happen?
Like making it work?
Yeah. Why did that happen?
The real answer is I don't know why that happened. When I went, I was going for fun. I was like, this is cool. This is fun. I'm hanging out with people that are into the same things that I'm into. We started doing the videos, which was still just for fun. And then all of a sudden, people would start inviting us out. And they would say, hey, can you come do a video at our con? Can you come show off our con? So it turned into a job, which our intention wasn't really that. We're like, we're having a good time. This is great. And then it snowballed into that. So we were traveling all around the world making videos, showing people what they're not be if they're we were in Dubai. If you can't come to Dubai, you can see our video of what the convention was like.
Wow.
So that is like mind blowing for me. I was like, how does this become work?
Yeah.
We're hanging out, I'm dressing up, playing Halloween in July.
Because you're like, I was gonna pay you to go, and now you're paying me to go and do the same thing I was gonna do for free.
Exactly. So it was like kind of amazing. But the one great thing that all of that has afforded is a platform for me to share the things that I love and that I want to put out there.
Absolutely.
And I have this this fan base that stands behind me and supports me, which is like, I am blessed every day. It's crazy amazing to have that.
Where did you meet your
It's
husband?
2 Aerosmith song titles.
Right?
It's crazy.
It would have been
and amazing.
It would have been better if I sang it, but you sing it for me.
All right, how did you and your husband meet? Where'd you guys meet?
I'm gonna take it back. We met through MySpace.
Whoa!
Yeah. You know, it took me a while to realize that. And we met in person, but the initial connection was through MySpace.
Oh my god!
Which is like old school. Most of these people listening might not even know what that is.
Was he in your top 8?
No.
Oh
No.
Wow.
It was like the end for me. It was the end of the MySpace era.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like people were still slowly moving over to Facebook. It was before Instagram.
How long have you guys been together?
It'll be 13 years this Halloween.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's
Yeah.
amazing! Did you guys get together on Halloween?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Wow.
And we got married. This will be what year is it? This will be 4 years this October. But we got married not on Halloween because, that would have been ideal, but there's a lot of shit going on Halloween.
of
So we're
course.
like, we did the
Yeah.
beginning of October, but Elvira married us.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, not Scary Farm.
Are you kidding?
That's great.
No.
That
is incredible.
Yeah.
So you did it at the park while people were in and all
so we
that,
did it
and-
on the stage that she doesn't
Oh, yeah.
do her show anymore, but it was on the stage that she did her show, and it was this amazing ceremony. And I'm not a wedding person. That's not like anything I've really ever cared about. But when they're like, well, Elvira wants to marry you, I was like, yes, please. Let's do that. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
What did you wear for the wedding?
It was a black, lacy, long gown.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
I was
What
like-
did he wear? What did he wear?
He wore like a nice black suit.
That's so
He should have worn a
badass.
black lacy suit, but
should have
he was
worn
like,
a
I'm
black
drawing the
suit.
line.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing lace.
Now, when it comes to nerd stuff, and I know that you are like a verified nerd, what is the stuff that you grew up being a fan of? Like, where are your nerd?
My nerd roots?
Your nerd roots.
So I do a lot of Comic Cons, which are very like pop culture nerd centric. But my love and joy comes from horror, and that's what I grew up loving, and that's hence I'm dressed as Chucky right now.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm a huge horror fanatic. I love conventions. At the beginning, there was a lot more horror in Comic Cons, and now you're seeing a lot more horror conventions separate from Comic Cons. They're their own things now.
Monsterpalooza and
Midsummer
stuff, yeah.
Scream, Spooky Empire. They're all over. But yeah, that was my jam. Horror movies since I was like 8 years old.
What are some of your favorites, and and why are they your favorites?
So my very first, which is still one of my favorites, I was 8 years old and I watched The Exorcist. And in hindsight, not a great idea.
Sure.
There were no parents there. I was at my friend's house, and she lived up in the hills, right in Sierra Madre. So like up in the hills where
Swanky.
it's real but also creepy.
Yeah.
Like her backyard was a forest.
Yeah, it's like dark and not a lot of lights.
There's not a lot.
and-
Not a lot of lights. And it was at the time where people didn't have screens on their windows. You left your front door open. People had trust in humanity. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
We can't say that much about it today. So she turns on the movie. She goes to sleep. Falls asleep because she'd seen it before, and just leaves me. And I sat on that couch like I don't think I blinked the entire time, terrified. I don't think I slept. But the next morning, we were having breakfast, and I was like, "What are we watching tonight?" And that's when I knew. I was like, it scared the shit out of me, but I loved it so much. I want to do it again.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a weird kid.
I got a good one for you.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I did not watch a lot of horror films. I saw my mom was very careful when I was very young
Yeah,
about
as
watching stuff.
parents should be.
Sure, in some ways. But when I watched Jaws when I was a kid, not Jaws 1. I saw Jaws 3. The one.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, I was
Horrible movie.
It's a terrible.
They're in the
movie.
Bahamas? Is that
No,
one?
no,
That's
it's
Jaws 4.
SeaWorld.
That's the one where they're at the water park with
The water park.
Oh,
Dennis
so
Quaid?
you were
Dennis
like
Quaid.
never
Yeah.
no water parks ever.
Well, not even water parks. I wouldn't swim in the pool because I thought the light in the pool was the eyeball of the
Yeah.
shark. So I would get in the pool and then I'd see it and I'd go.
And like night swimming was out of the
I
question.
was terrified of the pool.
Yeah.
I thought that I was going to get eaten by a shark because I was like, they can
Or
be
end up in a bad movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
this
all-
will either be a terrible film or
Yes.
I'm gonna get eaten by a shark.
So you watch it on video, and it's a movie that was made for 3D with all kinds of stuff where they do the thing where they keep throwing stuff at the camera. But
Right.
on video at the time, they didn't come with like 3D glasses. You're just
No.
seeing them do stuff at the
Just
camera.
out
You're
of
like,
focus.
why do they keep throwing stuff at
Throwing
us?
stuff
Like-
at us?
I don't
Yeah, it was
understand.
very strange.
Yeah.
It's a very that was upsetting. And then the other one, which I know you appreciate, is when I was 13, I asked a girl out for our first date. I asked her to go see a movie with me at the movie theater, and then I got home and I told my mom. I was in the 7th grade. And I told my mom, and she said that I was too young to go to the movies by myself because she thought I'd get kidnapped.
Oh, 13?
13 years old. And I was very short and very fat. And so she was like, you're going to get kidnapped. Someone's going to roll you into a van. You're going to be in real trouble.
And I'm never going to see you again.
Yeah, it's not happening. So she was like, instead of going to the movies, let's bring the movies to us.
Oh, that is clever, Mom.
So,
clever.
So she went and bought movie posters and hung them up in our living room.
Bless your mom.
And then she said I could pick 3 VHS tapes, and then we'd invite the girl over, and we'd put out an assortment of candy. And my sister would dress up as an usher, and she'd have bags of popcorn, hand us bags of popcorn. My little tiny sister, and she was like 7 years old at the time, so she was like in a little white shirt.
Oh my God, your family sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, they really went for it. And then the girl came over, and
I don't know how the girl would feel though.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
The girl came over and was like, "What the fuck is this? What? Why aren't we going to the movies?" And I was like, "The movies are here in my living room."
What were the options?
And so I gave her the options. I said, "We have 3 movies to choose from. We have Star Wars." She was like, "Ew, no."
Oh no.
I was like, "We have Pretty Woman," and she was like, "No, I don't want to watch that."
You don't watch a movie about a whore with
No.
a little girl on a date?
So, yeah. And then I said, or we have a scary movie called Silence of the Lambs.
You did not.
Which I had not seen, but I had heard it was scary, and she was like, "We can watch that." I heard that was a scary movie.
Yeah.
So her and I alone watched Silence of the Lambs, and when that dude tucked his junk and starts singing and doing "I'd fuck me," she started crying and asked her dad to come pick her up. And then immediately the next day started dating my best friend. That is 100% true. So I was like mortified because I was like, well, I don't know what's happening in the movie. I'm totally in shock.
You know what? That sounds very traumatic, but I do have to say that is a fantastic story. So I am sorry for 13-year-old you, but me,
thank God to
us, is great.
But it paid off.
It's good for 40-year-old.
Good, 40-year-old me loves that story.
Yeah.
Matt, you and me are both stand-up comedians, and I know we both say a lot of things that are very offensive on a regular basis. Do you ever have trouble sleeping at night?
Yeah, not because of things I say, though. It's just because I have lousy pillows.
Oh, okay. So you don't have like a horrible feeling of guilt sometimes for the awful things. Oh, that's nice.
Never. I'm proud of the horrible things that I say to people.
That's good. That's a good way to be. Sometimes I do have trouble sleeping, or I did have trouble sleeping until I got this brand new pillow.
What kind of pillow?
I mean, this is next level stuff, Matt. This is a pillow. You've never seen a pillow like this because until recently it did not exist. It's called the buttress pillow. And it is shaped like a butt, and it has little legs, and you're not going to believe this. You got to go check it out. Thebuttresspillow.com.
So it's like your face rests on a butt.
Your face is pressed into a butt crack while the legs support your neck and shoulders, basically. It
sounds comfortable.
It is very comfortable. It's ergonomic. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Ergonomic, functional, all natural, and it's absolutely beautiful. Check this out. This is from their website. Soft but supportive with the feeling of a butt. All right, and the sweet spot is between the thighs and the cheeks, which will gently cradle your head and support your neck. Great for side sleepers, back sleepers, and stomach sleepers. It's squeezable, slappable, face variable, relieves stress, from having a long, horrible day. What do you want to do at the end of a long day?
Put your head in a butt.
That is 100% right.
Well,
you can dress it up, you can dress it down. You want to throw some PJs on it?
You convinced me, so where do I go get one of these?
You go to thebuttresspillow.com, thebuttresspillow.com. That's THEBUTTRESS pillow.com. go to thebuttresspillow.com, Matt, and get your sleep on. You'll have much better dreams. All right, let's get back to the show. What other horror stuff was like an early passion? What other ones when did you find out about Elvira? Like how?
I was actually way older when I found out about. I mean, I would see like the commercials, the Coors Light commercials on TV. But I feel like Elvira, when I was younger, appealed more to the male audience.
So you didn't watch like Movie Macabre on the weekends?
Yeah, I did. Okay. And I love Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, like all of the classics.
Yeah.
I pretty much watched everything that I could when I wasn't at home because my parents were like, we don't want you watching that. That's too scary. Yeah. So it was always at my friend's house. And it was always the older brother renting it for us because her parents didn't really want her to watch it either.
And by the way, parents, if you're listening, that's the thing to know is if you tell your kid you can't watch something, they're going to watch all of it.
They're going to do everything.
Like my mom, the only thing she wouldn't let me watch was Married with Children. She's like, this show is not to be on in this household. When I went to college, I watched every single episode of Married with Children, and then it came out in reruns, and I've seen every episode like 5 times.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's amazing.
I feel like it's slightly inappropriate, but I mean,
they could never make it today.
But it's hilarious. It's a great show.
Yeah.
Great show.
But
so
now,
funny,
and like she didn't like it that I listened to Howard Stern, so then I became like a super fan.
Howard Stern's great too.
It's like I became a super fan because my parents didn't want me to do it. I'm like, well, then that's what I'm doing.
So parents, let your kids do whatever they want is what we're saying.
Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you
within reason.
If you get nothing from this episode, just parents let your kids do whatever they want.
And I don't mean to be hanging on to Elvira for too long on this, but was there ever like a thought for you to become like has that ever been a thought
like
of
be the
being
next Elvira,
or is that not really a thing?
You know what?
And not like I don't mean by saying like you change your name to Elvira.
No.
Being that
type of icon.
Yeah.
For me, I've always just, for me, it's on a character, and I think that's the difference.
Sure.
I don't. I mean, I do put on outfits, but I don't put on a character. Right. So when I walk out the door and my personality and the way that I dress, and a lot of the times I dress in all black, I wear a lot of, it looks like I'm dressed up as something, but that's just me. I'll go to the grocery store in like all black with a hat and a lace dress and cool boots on. That's just my style.
Cool.
So I think that's the big difference is I've never wanted to be someone that has to be a character where I have to put on the persona. It is my persona. So there's never been really like I want to be the next so-and-so. I just want to be who I am. I want to create awesome things and I want to share it with the world. I mean, it sounds really simple, but
it makes
that's
sense,
kind of the goal.
It makes a lot of sense. I know that stuff can sometimes get a little confusing.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you put too much thought into it and you make this big old thing that can be a little overwhelming. And I'm like, you know what? I know what I love. I know other people love it out there. At least one other person, and I'm sure there's more than that. And if not, I put something out there that I'm proud of. And that's really what it's about for me.
I totally get that. Let's look at some. We're going to talk to some credits, some IMDb credits here.
Some IMDb credits.
There's the Video Game High School, which you've done a couple episodes.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
What was that like? Was that a fun time?
So it was really fun. It was some YouTuber friends of mine when I really kind of first got into this. And it was called Video Game High School. And the videos that they made were like shoot 'em up YouTube videos, but they did a bunch of special effects. And at the time, they were kind of the first people to do it. So they transitioned from doing that to doing like a little episodic series that I was a part of. Yeah. Just super fun.
Was that like sort of, I don't know, Freddie
Wong.
Was he?
Yeah.
That was his? Okay, yeah. Because he did a lot of great work with all those.
Yeah. And they moved on to, which they were a really big inspiration for anyone like in this whole world, because they went from making money on YouTube to seeing the change in YouTube and realizing, let's go over here and make our own platform that we control. And they were really successful at it. So
yeah, they really have done an amazing job. And they get hired to produce some incredible content.
And they've come so far from when they first started making their YouTube videos. Yeah. Like they've come a long way.
Yeah, no, their stuff's really amazing. You worked on the Oracle of Outer Space, which is the Oracle of Outer Space. If I'm correct on this, is this a short? Was this a short or was this a full? Yeah, this is a short.
Yeah, it's a little animated series. So I'm one of the, I'm a voice actor in it. I'm the ship's computer. So that was super fun. There's a friend of mine that funded his project, and I got to be one of the voices in it.
Who was that? Was that
Carl King?
Yeah, Carl King.
And Carl King actually is one of my homies. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah,
he's an
Carl King's
amazing composer, and he does a lot of audio for our kids' puppet show, a lot of music for, he did our Let's Get Spooky intro. So if you listen to the podcast, that little jazzy intro at the beginning, he did that.
Yeah, Carl King was also the cinematographer on The Death of Superman Lives,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was John
movie.
Schnepp's thing. And John Schnepp starred in this show with you.
Yeah.
John was a very good friend of ours
awesome.
and was on our show a lot, and a wonderful guy. And Dweezil Zappa.
Yeah.
People need to go check this out.
Yeah,
go
it's
find
super
that.
cool.
Oracle of Outer Space. That's so
Check it
cool.
out. It is awesome.
I love it. I love it. Hey, Matt, before we continue the show, let me ask you a quick question, Matt. When you're getting down with the ladies, you lubing it up? Lubing it up, Matt?
You have to.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get your lubes on. But I'll tell you what, the biggest problem, I think, for most people is that, lube, it goes everywhere, especially when it's dark, it's in the middle of the night.
Gets all over.
It gets all over the place, and that's no fun for nobody, which is why I always say you should use Lube Light. That's right. Lube Light lets you pop its cap for an instant illumination. Wow. That's incredible.
So you just open it up and then you've got a light?
You got a light built in. Any lube will work in this bottle. It is you grip it, flip it, squeeze it, fill it up, and I'm telling you right now, bam, you got a lube light. You pop its cap for instant illumination, and then lube gets applied wherever you want it applied, not where it wants to go. That's right. You're in charge of the lube now. Also, you can keep the light on while you're getting down to clown. And that ambient light, it's very nice. It's never blinding, and especially while you're grinding. So, don't take it from me, Matt. Don't take this advice from me. Take it from a satisfied customer.
Lube Light has changed everything in the bedroom for me. I used to always just be worried about making a mess. Half the time I couldn't even find it. But with Lube Light, I'm always guaranteed a hole-in-one.
That's why you should try lubelights.com. Lubelights.com. We're talking about lube, folks. Lubelights.com.
Also available on Amazon.com. Search for Flip Lube Light.
All right, let's get back to the show. What's next for you? Tell me about this book and the
in the world.
And like what you want to do. What's the
in
next
the world?
thing
In the world, what is next? So the children's book has been a dream of mine, and to publish a book is like, in my mind, was always like such a high goal, and now that I've achieved it, I'm so proud that I've done it. I worked with some really great people. One of my best friends illustrated it. My husband and I wrote it, and we actually funded the project, and the premise of the funding was for every book that was purchased, one gets donated. So we're donating hundreds of books to children's hospitals, libraries, book drives. Essentially, the goal is just to get the book into the hands of kids, because we want to encourage them to put the phone down, to put the video game controller down, to read, to use your imagination, and do what we did as kids when our parents were like, go outside, go entertain yourself. Don't be consumed by technology. And as an adult, I feel like I'm guilty. I'm consumed by technology because our work revolves around it. But it's really that message of like, hey, kids, remember, use your imagination. And that's the premise of the book is the characters get a paper boat, and then they imagine they're on a pirate ship sailing the ocean, like going on an adventure.
That's so cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I love
thank
that.
you.
That's really, really neat. Okay, so I have some con questions for you. Just because you you do, how many cons a year do you do?
You know what? I did a lot. Like, there was one year where it was like 40.
Wow.
And that's pretty much every weekend, and that's just dumb. Because life is not fun when you're living out of a suitcase for that long. It went from like 40 something to in the 30s, and then in the 20s, and then this year we're like at around 10, I think, right now, which is still a lot. It's a lot of travel. But it's really fun. I get to travel with my husband, which makes it even better. I don't have to do it by myself. We get to travel the world, spread the love of the things that we do. So I really can't complain, but I do like being home a little bit more. So
I get that.
Yeah.
It's like, and you work so hard to have a home,
and then you never get to see it. You pay that rent check and you're like, wow, that sucks. I was here one day.
Yeah, that's not fair. That's not
Like,
fair.
I'll just rent a mailboxes, etc.
Right?
box and
Can I
save a
just
lot
have
of money, and then
public
Jeez.
storage box to put all my stuff in when I'm
Seriously.
gone.
yeah.
This there's a big thing at the cons now, which is the cosplay is not consent thing. Is that something that you've ever had to deal with at cons, or do you?
Are there problematic guys you've run into? Like, has there been issues like that in the past? Or?
You know what?
Or women?
Or women.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, don't judge
women, Matt.
because both can equally
Some women are
be,
terrible people.
can be grabby. It could be a man or a woman that's very grabby. So for me, I personally haven't had a lot of that, but I feel like you receive the energy that you put out there. If someone,
You look like you'd kick somebody's ass, and I think that
Right.
frightens people.
a little bit, but I'm like with a smile.
Yes.
Like I'm nice until you cross the line,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to let you know.
Absolutely.
I have no problem telling someone they're crossing the line. I
Yeah.
think that's where the problem starts. Is a lot of people they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but if you don't speak up for yourself and you don't stand up, you are allowing that to happen. And that person's like, "Oh, it was okay with you, then I'm just going to go do that to you." You know.
Sure.
So people don't really understand, and there's a lot of social awkwardness a lot of the times. So you just have to be open, communicate. If someone's doing something you don't like, say it.
Yeah.
And I have no problem saying it. And
That's great.
I feel like I appreciate those signs. I think it sucks that it has to happen. I feel like common sense and common courtesy should be a thing, but unfortunately it's not. So there's a sign there if you don't have common sense. And but I do feel that everyone has the right and should speak up for themselves. Don't feel bad about hurting someone's feelings if they're being inappropriate.
Well, I think those signs are largely there because of some lawyers that said, "Hey, we need to do something so we don't get sued if something happens."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
So it's
yeah.
not the con's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It definitely is something that like I'm happy it's there so that people who are morons can be reminded.
Right.
To
But see,
not
the
be
thing
morons.
is, the morons usually don't read the signs.
Yeah.
Is the problem.
because they can't read.
Yeah, or they choose to be like, oh, that looks like something I should read. No, never mind. I got somewhere to be. Let's go. So, you know.
What are your fans like? What do you feel like what do they like to be around?
My fans are freaking amazing.
Yes.
I feel like I have a community of people that has followed me for so long, and they know my roots and they know the things I love, and they support me. I call them my white knights. They're like the people on the internet where if someone says something bad, I don't even have to like deal with it because my people will go in and be like, hey, don't say that. And they fight my battle for me, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But I just have such a good group of people that they just love what I do and they support me. And it's so crazy to just come to a new place and have people there with like open arms and want to hug you and say thank you for inspiring them, or thank you, my kid loves your book, or they love your videos. And I'm like, my heart. And that's what I do it for. I do it for we have a backdrop in front of my booth, and it's like a cartoon coffin, and then all of our characters are popping outside of the coffin.
Brilliant.
And my heart, every time a little kid will come up and they do like the dead in the coffin pose and they close their eyes, and I'm just like, this is it. I die. I die every time. It's so cool. Yeah, it's super rewarding.
Okay, now costume-wise, is there a favorite, or like a couple favorites? Is there like one that you go, oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out and go fucking rock this? That's question number one.
Yes.
And question number two is there a costume that you have not done that you would like to do? Maybe it's a little too complex.
I thought you were going to say, is there one you want to burn in a fire? Because I have an answer to that
Is
one
there
too.
one you want to burn in a fire?
All three. Answer all three questions. There we go.
Answer all three questions.
So much pressure. So favorite is hard because it's like picking your favorite child, like especially ones that I like blood, sweat, and tears went into. One that I love is I have a female stormtrooper costume, and I love wearing it. I sound like a bucket of Tupperware when I walk around. It's like not flattering sounding at all, but I feel so freaking cool. There was a moment where I was like walking around the house. I was like, I'm going to do the vacuum in the stormtrooper. Let's play with the dogs in the stormtrooper costume. And then I realized I was like, this is not very comfortable.
Yeah,
it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
So that one is kind of one.
Can you sit down in that?
No, you can't.
Yeah, because we've known people in the 501st and like they're just like, oh, I have to stand here, and you're like, you want to take a seat? They're like, no, I physically can't sit down.
I can on a stool. So mine has like most stormtroopers have like the little butt plate, so you can like lift the butt plate up a little bit and like put a cheek on a stool so you can kind of sit down, but it's almost too much work. You're like, it's just better to stand up. So that one at a time I loved and also wanted to burn in a fire because literal blood, sweat, and tears. Like it cuts into me, my loose feeling in two of my fingers when I wear it. It's a lot, but it's still amazing. And then anything horror, I have a Freddy Krueger, I have an Ash from Evil Dead.
Oh, nice.
Freddy Krueger one's very, very cool.
It's like my homage. It's like 80s bodysuit Freddy Krueger. So it's very confusing for some people, and they don't. They're like, I want to like it, but you're also Freddy Krueger, and I shouldn't. But
yeah,
I also like confusing people, but I have the claw hand. Yeah.
So cool. That's amazing.
Thanks.
What is one that you
that you haven't done that you
haven't done
that you'd like to do?
So I honestly, that's such a hard question, because for the longest time it was the Stormtrooper, and I was like, I would love to be a Stormtrooper, but it's a lot of work, and I don't know that I can do it. And then a friend of mine made the very first, the only female Stormtrooper in the Star Wars world. And I was like, yeah, let's make that costume. And that was kind of the last time I had the goal costume
to make. Is that the Phasma? Was that?
No, it's Just Chastain is the character.
Okay.
So it looks like a Stormtrooper, but it's more feminine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And
it could be a male Stormtrooper with big flabby boobs.
It could
be. We don't know.
Why do his boobs got to be flabby?
Yeah,
it's a fat guy.
Why can't he have nice boobs?
Look, there's not skinny guys with boobs. There just aren't.
Look, I've seen 2 today.
Yeah. You are not looking in the right places, sir.
Right places. And we're going to bring him in right now. Phil!
Come on in.
From its humble beginnings in Minnesota to a worldwide brand that has taken the vape industry by storm, Jungle Nation presents The Glory Days.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What was that?
I'm sorry?
No! This is the Glory Days! This needs to be exciting! The Glory Days! This is not your grandparents' e-liquid company! We take the flavors you love and flip them on their flavor faces! Kiwi, lemon, lime, melon, blackberry. Are you freaking kidding me? Sound the alarm! It's the new flavor alert! Peach, orange, mango. Game over! These are some of the most well-rounded, clean e-liquid flavors on the market! Following strict FDA guidelines and recommendations, Jungle Nations is taking the best of 42 fully registered flavors and bringing them to a local vape shop near you.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Must be legal age to purchase or use.
Let these days be the glory days of tomorrow. Go to junglenation.com. That's JNGLnation.com.
For like, what about family? How's your family feel about all of this? Are they who understands it? Who does not understand what's going on? Because we have those.
Yeah.
We have those in common. I'm sure you have an aunt somewhere who's like, "What are you doing?
I don't understand. Why do you go to all those places with the weird people?
Why aren't you at your cousin's birthday party? I don't understand."
Auntie, I'm busy. Okay, I'm working. So my mom is like my cheerleader. I could be like in a brown paper bag and like standing on a street corner, like washing windows, and she'd be like, "That's my baby. I love her." So she's my cheerleader for anything. My dad, so my parents, my mom is Mexican. My dad is Middle Eastern. So I'm Lebanese and Mexican. My dad is like, "You need to wear more clothes. And I was like, Dad, don't make an Instagram account. Like, just don't go on social media." And he made an Instagram account. And at the beginning, he would send me a message, or he would like comment and be like, "I don't like that one. You should take this one. You should delete that one." And
really?
So funny. Or he wouldn't say anything. And then I'd go over, with my parents for dinner, and he'd pull up his phone and he'd show me, and he's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Dad,
really?
I'm an adult. You can't tell me what to do." And he's like, "I'm your father. Yes, I can." I was like, "Yeah, but I'm still not going to do it." So amazing. He gets it. He just likes to poke fun at it. I think at the beginning they're like, "What the hell are you doing? You went to college. Why are you making videos? And what is this acting thing?" And it's that judgment of like, they want to see you get a full-time job and work 9 to 5 and have a boss. And I'm like, that's not for me. So it took him a while.
That's a vision of America that doesn't really exist anymore.
Right. That's
which
not
is a sad
thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they understand it now. I think that they're seeing like, oh, you can actually make a living doing what you're doing. But it took them a while to get to that point.
Yeah, you can make a living doing a lot of things.
Yes.
Like
a lot of unconventional things.
There's a lot of, we just had the McClure family on our show. The McClure twins have, hang on. I will give exact numbers.
The numbers are astonishing.
I will give you the numbers because it's almost your brain stops working. 1.2 million on YouTube, 1.7 million on Instagram, 2 million on Facebook.
And these
And
are
what do they
twin
do?
5-year-olds.
They're twin 5-year-olds.
They're just cute.
They're cute twin 5-year-old girls that talk. They say silly things.
Yeah.
And then they have a little brother who is 1 years old, and he has 200,000 on Instagram, and it's shocking. But
are they like the little ones where you see like they're 5 years old, but when you talk to them, they sound like they're 25?
Oh no!
No,
they're
no.
just
These
really,
are 5-year-olds. When one of the 5-year-olds said to me, "How many do you have on Instagram?" And I said, "I have 161,000." And
she's like,
she went,
That's
"He hasn't follows on me." And then the sister was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "She has followers than us."
less followers.
And then
West followers.
West followers than us. And then the sister was like, "But he's a grown up. You're old. You should have more." Like, it was so
Oh my God. And you're
funny.
like, you are adorable.
You're so adorable. And but for them to do what they do
Yeah.
and make a living, the father and mother quit their
It's like their
jobs,
full-time job.
and it is
That's
their full-time
amazing.
job doing all this content.
And isn't that cool that's like
That's
a
a
possibility?
possibility.
You know,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
It is a
Good for them.
fascinating
Yeah.
world.
Good for them.
And the ability to like gain a massive following doing one thing,
Yeah.
and then flip it on its head
Yep.
and do something
Yeah.
else with that following. Like, take all of them somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's the whole trick that
Yep.
everybody keeps. That's why, like, I think the book that you're doing and the TV show and the stuff that you want to do is so smart, because you can just transition all of these people into a different
That's the goal,
thing.
right?
Hell
Yeah,
yeah,
Because
that's the goal.
I mean, like right now, cosplay is big, and people pay you to come to a convention as
Yeah.
like and sit in the cosplay area and sign autographs and stuff. But I mean, that won't last forever. At some
No,
point,
it will
that's
not.
got to come to some sort of an
Yeah.
end, and then you've got something else you can do.
Yeah.
And if that's all they do, then they could just wake up one morning. It's like, oh, the phone doesn't ring anymore. and
Exactly.
What do I
It's
do now?
This stuff, the con stuff, is like a byproduct of being amazing. Like,
Being
you're
a person, a
you're
personality.
person that's a personality, and you're very talented and very cool.
Oh, thank
and
you.
And you just ended up with this.
Yeah.
With this stuff,
Right.
and then you can,
And you
get
make your
to-
way, and I think that's
Yeah.
what's really
You have
important.
more to
is-
offer than just that,
exactly.
yeah.
If you find your way and you make your way, good things can happen. And if you hustle, like a lot of people will say, "Hey, I want to do that." I'm sure you've had people doing your show. "Hey, how do I have a successful podcast? How do I have a successful business?" And if there was a roadmap, trust us, we would all have followed that roadmap a decade ago.
Oh, yeah.
But it's about the hustle. It's about wanting something bad enough to sacrifice and to get where you want to be.
Yeah,
So
totally.
And a lot of it is you just have to stick with what you're doing. If you really care about it, you just have to keep doing it long enough to get your shot. Because if
Exactly.
you do something long enough, eventually you will have a chance, and just be prepared to take advantage of when you get it. Some people get their chance really early on. Other people, it takes decades before they
Right.
get it. But if you keep doing it because you love it, eventually you'll get a shot at making some money from it.
yeah,
Absolutely.
And if not, you did something really cool, and you can move
Yeah.
on to the next thing. For me personally, one of the things that I love is horror. Obviously, we've talked
course,
about
yeah.
that. And I do the kids puppet show, but that appeals to a younger audience. We call it Frightful Fun for all ages, so it's something the adults can enjoy with the kids as well. But I love horror so much. I actually do a horror show and podcast. So we film it if you want to watch it. We
That's
record it if you want to listen on iTunes or Spotify.
Yeah.
What's the name of the show?
It's called Let's Get Spooky.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's something that I've done in various forms throughout the past couple years. But now it's more a little bit more formatted. We have we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify. We have the videos on our website. But it's me and my friends, and we sit down and we talk about horror. We talk about anything under the spooky umbrella, which is so much more than just horror movies.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's something that I love, and again, something that I've wanted to do, and I just did it. And
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing, I think, for a lot of people is, how do I do it? Just try. You
Yeah.
know, you're never going to know if you're good at it, if you like it, if you're going to be successful, if you're so worried about like jumping in, you know, and
Totally.
you learn from your failures too. So if
Now-
you make a mistake,
I've got a
fix
question
it.
on
Yeah.
the puppet
You're right.
show. Do you make your own puppets, or
We
what do
do,
you? Okay,
yeah.
because we've got a friend who makes puppets, Maria, who makes puppets. We've been to the Henson facility.
Yeah.
Like we were there. We interviewed Brian Henson, like episode 5 of our podcast, on the way back then. And I know there's a lot of work that goes into just making a puppet that works and does the things you want it to
Right.
do. Like, how hard was that? Like, did you take a class in how to make a puppet? Like, did you sit down and like look at them? Like, how did you figure out how to make a puppet?
So for me, it's me and my husband, our two puppeteer friends that voice Cubby the Bat and DK's the Zombie. We sat down. My husband Cameron actually had, I think it was like a napkin or a piece of paper where he drew the sketches of what he wanted the characters to look like. And our friends had a little bit of experience in puppet making, so they took on that burden of making them.
Okay.
We were kind of like the overseers of like, hey, we want it to look like this. We want it to function like that.
You design it and they actually assemble it. Yeah.
The thing that's tough though is a lot of puppets that you see are based on the Muppet. The Jim Henson Muppet is that style of puppet, the way it looks, the way it operates. And for us, we wanted it to be our own. So our puppets are not conventionally made. They look very different. Our zombie, the fingers actually go into his teeth, so his teeth move in his mouth, which is a very unique thing that you don't see very often. Most of the time, you see the Pac-Man, you know, the little
big floppy mouth.
Exactly. So we were very adamant about it being very different looking. We didn't want it to look like something that people had seen before.
So cool.
And then we have a full-size werewolf as well.
Like a walk around?
Like a walk around werewolf.
Oh, wow.
We do events. We have, his name's Howlin', and his eyes light up. So he's a little scary, but he's still kind of cute. So the kids are like, oh, he's a werewolf, but he's not terrifying, slobber dripping blood, like super scary.
That's so cool.
Even though I kind of want him to be that way, but I know people would be scared. I can't have everything I want.
I kind of want to scar children for life, but their parents don't like it.
But it's
so
probably
much.
not a good idea.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
All right. Where can people find you on the social medias?
On the social medias, I am just at Vamp, V-A-M-P. Four letters. That is it.
That's
easy
it.
peasy.
It's a good one.
How killer is that
It's
you got that
it's
for
magical.
Twitter and Instagram and everywhere?
Magic.
And tell people again the name of the podcast.
Podcast is Let's Get Spooky. If you go to my website, leannavamp.com, it's LEEANNAVAMP.com. You can find links to everything.
Awesome. Matt, where can people find you?
You can find links to everything at funnymatt.com, or if you're annoyed by me, let me know at mattwalkersucks.com. Or if you're someone like Leeanna who likes scary things, you should check out our true crime podcast that frightens Steven, where it's a short 5-episode limited run thing where I tell him all about the time I was a juror on a murder trial for a man who killed and dismembered his mother.
What?
In graphic detail.
This guy put his mom's head in a backpack and carried it around for how long?
About a week.
Wait, you were on the jury?
He was on the jury.
Oh my God. What state was this? In California?
It's called Juror Number 8, and you can check that out on the iTunes.
You know what I'm doing tonight in my hotel room after the con?
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
listening to that show.
Leeanna, I have a... I don't like things
doesn't like
that.
You don't like scary things.
No. Like it'll like I like scary movies.
That's real. That's like a real life. That's a
thing.
man that did
And,
that.
Like,
yeah.
he told me this story, and he was like, "You have to be on the show because you get scared about this time."
Yeah.
I had fucking nightmares and shit.
Did you really?
Yeah, it freaked me the fuck out. It's a
There's
fucked up story.
There's the murderer.
Oh, dear God.
What's his
Yeah.
name? He looks like
Moises
he would.
Mraz Espinoza.
Anyone named Moises looks like
Hey,
he put their
Moises, if
mom's
you're
head in a
listening to the
backpack.
show, check out Juror Number 8. It's all about you. If you can, check out the nighttimeshow.com. That's our website. It's got links for our live show and our podcast and episodes and merch and all sorts of fun stuff. Big news that's happening. I can talk about finally on here. I signed a deal with Hot Topic, so I will have merch, shirts. I have 5 shirts going into Hot Topic.
Congratulations!
Which is very exciting. About 3 years of conversations finally.
Sometimes it takes time, but it's all worth it in the end.
Oh, so cool. So that's a big fun thing. And then the Nighttime Show is returning June 29th to Dynasty Typewriter.
First time there.
Hayworth. It's our first time at that venue. It's going to be fucking amazing. Live performance by a musical act, as well as interviews. On our last show, the Gin Blossoms performed.
Rad.
And they were incredible. Jason Mewes and all sorts of great people were there.
Leonard Maltin?
Leonard Maltin was there. It was great. And then we're leading up to NostalgiaCon and then to LA Comic Con.
San Diego Comic Con first.
San Diego,
San
Comic-Con.
Diego,
Holy
yes.
God,
I
there's
will
a
see you
lot
guys there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
I'm excited.
a whole thing. Yeah, you should come and do things with us there.
Yeah,
too.
I'm down.
It'll be so much fun. Yeah,
San Diego Comic Con Adventures.
Hell
Ready.
yes. Thanks for listening to the show. I'm Stephen Glickman at Stephen Glickman is STEPHEN. Glickman on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the Nighttime Show podcast. Leeanna Vamp, you're amazing. Thank you for doing the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh.